America, where on Yucca Flats, Nevada, U.S. Marines take cover while on atom bomb maneuvers. And just over 3 miles away, the now familiar blinding flash. Chief purpose of these explosions have been to ensure that the atom bomb can be used in full-scale offensives on land without leaving its deadly radiation in the target area. So the U.S. Marines, like the whole world, watch the effects of the blast and wonder.
Alright guys, let's start with the historical context. So, before the 1900s, the discovery of coal and electricity started the technological boom that completely redefined the way we live. World War I and World War II necessitated the development of new military technologies that ultimately had civilian application as well. There arose a huge emphasis on sciences like biology and chemistry, as well as the scientific process from the scientific revolution. This led to innovations in science and agriculture.
Hello, I am Roman Schulte. This is our topic question slash statement. It's 9.1, advancements in technology and exchange after 1900. Unit 9, lesson objective A. Explain how the development of new technologies changed the world from 1900 to present day. Hello, this is Roman Schulte again with key words. Nuclear weapons, big one. Nuclear reactors, big one. Penicillin, pretty big one. Green Revolution, jet engines. Everyone loves jet engines. Cell phones, radio communications, the internet, what I'm communicating right now, airplanes, genetic engineering, and air conditioning, and also birth control. That's a good one. No, don't. Oh, crap. Hi, I'm Roman Schulte, and this is the atomic bomb. Watch out! So, what is the atomic bomb? It's a bomb that releases a destructive power from a rapid release of nuclear energy by fission. And it's has a very heavy nuclei, and it causes damage through heat blast. The first time the atomic bomb was used was in New Mexico in 1945, but it's most recognizable from its use in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It was made by Robert J. Oppenheimer in the Manhattan Project. People thought he was communist. I don't really know. The nuclear bomb was really essential in World War II. It kind of ended World War II, and it also started the nuclear arms race between the USA and the USSR. That's pretty much it for the atomic bomb. It's a really destructive thing, and we still have a lot of them. There's currently 100,000 warheads or something like that. Yeah, thank you. I'm Roman Schulte. This is the cell phone. Watch out. Okay, so let's talk about the cell phone. What is a cell phone? A cell phone is a portable telephone that sends radio signals to and fro, and those get captured by a short-range transmitter that sends the radio waves out to other people. The cell phone was created by a guy who was working for Motorola at the time. His name is Martin Cooper, and he made it in 1973, which is kind of crazy. It's been around for almost 50 years, 49 years, almost 60 years. But that's pretty crazy. I don't know math, so I don't know if that was correct or not. Why is it important? Well, the cell phone led to many advancements in telecommunications, and more people being internet connected throughout the world. The cell phone also led to Steve Jobs. I don't know if you ever heard about him. He's pretty cool, and that's about the cell phone. Thank you.
Alright, so the Green Revolution. Green Revolution was a period of technologies and innovations that increased crop yields. So, this guy named Norman Borlaug, the guy in the picture, known as the father of the Green Revolution. So, he got like his bachelor's in, I think, forestry, and then he got his master's in like some other plant things, but he was really concerned about plant stuff. So, like, he helped develop new strains of crops at his university, and with that, he helped Mexico become a net exporter of wheat in like 1967. So Mexico used to import a lot more, but with this guy's help, they're able to produce a lot more. So they ended up producing more than they like imported for the first time basically ever. And then pesticides, already a thing, even like chemical pesticides, but I mean, they weren't really widely spread until now. And same with fertilizers. Okay, genetic engineering. So Herbert Boyer and Stanley Cohen proved that DNA cloning is possible. So what they did was they had these recombinant molecules, which are made up of like fragments of other DNA, and those were able to like survive even though they were like kind of spliced together. So that got people thinking like, hey, this could actually work. And then they also created the first GMO in 1973 with this guy named Paul Berg. And yeah, GMO is basically a genetically modified organism. See it in food sometimes. And then different Stanley Cohen, this guy won a Nobel Prize for his discovery of growth factors, which are like these proteins and stuff and hormones that like help cell reproduction and development and stuff. And then crossbreeding of plants, this is just kind of like a general thing. All the benefits, none of the drawbacks. It's basically what a GMO was, because some plants had like bad qualities, like they couldn't survive well or something.
Hello, Tigers. It is me, John Robert Ogden, and I'm here to discuss about the jet engine. It was originally invented in 1930 with like little prototypes and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Which was invented by Sir Frank Whittle, which was invented in England, of course. However, the first functional jet wasn't really made until 1939 by the Nazis, which was invented by Hans Pabst von Ohan. This jet engine revolutionized air travel and was primarily used for war purposes. However, they did make some jet engines later on for passenger use and stuff like that. And yeah, which led to inventions like the Concorde, the F-22s, you know, A-10 Warhogs, you know, and yeah, which revolutionized air travel and made faster jets, which could do more stuff and go super high, better than like the original stuff. Hello, Tigers. It is me, John Robert Ogard, and today I'm here to discuss about the airplane. The airplane was a thing that has been in the human thought for thousands of years, of course, but it was first successfully invented, had its first successful flight in 1903. The inventors were the two greatest duos in history, the Wright brothers, which they invented it in North Carolina. However, it was not an easy task. They've worked on this since 1899, and it took 4 years to make the first successful plane in 1903. However, the New York Times stated that it'd take like 1 million years before humans could go to the skies because of how hard it was to make an airplane. But the Wright brothers came in and said, no, and they invented an airplane that could actually work. This took 50 years of trial and error until the genius Wright brothers and me decided to make the first successful airplane. As you can see in the photo, I was part of that.
This film, made in 1903, recalls the first flight of this primitive biplane making aviation history. As the two brothers prepare to attempt the first catapulted takeoff, man's age-old dream of flight becomes a reality.
Hey guys, I'm Arjun, and this is on radio communication. So radio was originally made by James Maxwell, Heinrich Hertz, and Guglielmo Marconi. Goofy name. These people signaled through electromagnetic waves, and they originally signaled just Morse code. But then after, unlike these people, Reginald Fessenden who's the guy on the right that I took a little picture with, was the first to actually transmit speech in 1900. And the first AM radio broadcast was on Christmas Eve, 1906, by the same Reginald Guy. And all this led to the creation of the modern AM and FM radios, broadcasting, and telecommunication. Hey guys, it's Arjun again. This is on the internet. So Vint Cerf, born in 1943, was an American computer scientist and was one of the fathers of the internet. Alongside Bob Kahn, he co-designed the Transmission Control Protocol / Internet Protocol. This is the foundation of modern internet communication. These early internet experiments were conducted at Stanford and UCLA. Their work enabled the creation of the internet in the 1900s, which was a global system of interconnected networks. The goal was to create a reliable communication system that could survive network failures, important for a lot of military uses. This evolved into a global network, revolutionizing communication, commerce, and daily life.
Hey guys, it's Logan, and I'm going to be talking about penicillin and modern antibiotics. So, penicillin is an antibiotic, and it was the first one ever discovered, and it was basically just like a mold that Alexander Fleming just kind of accidentally discovered. So it was invented in 1928 by Alexander Fleming, and he discovered this when he was doing a test, and he discovered that there was some bacteria or some mold on his petri dish that was actually killing the bacteria, and this led to the invention of modern antibiotics that we use today, including penicillin. And this led him to the Nobel Peace Prize in 1945 because of this absolutely incredible invention that has led to saving millions upon millions of lives today. And in the photo, you can see me studying with Alexander Fleming. Yeah. Hey guys, it's Logan again, and this is the nuclear reactor. So basically what a nuclear reactor is it takes a bunch of nuclear reactions and it turns it into elements that decay and release energy, like plutonium and uranium. So the nuclear reactor was invented in 1942 by Enrico Fermi, and he called it the Chicago Pile 1, or the CP1, because it was made in Chicago, which is where Fermi worked. And it was used to produce the uranium and plutonium for the atomic bombs, and this led to the eventual invention of the atomic bomb by Oppenheimer, as Roman said. And this was the world's first self-containing nuclear reaction chain, and it really proved the possibility of nuclear energy in application. And the picture is me. I took a selfie with Fermi.
When it was decided we go to Chicago and we started building the pile, it was a composite of wood, 4x4s, and graphite. Graphite was awful. It's very dense, it's very slippery, it's very dirty. We had shifts building this pile, and Fermi would decide what the composition would be between the wood, which was primarily a cradle on the outside, and the graphite in the inside. We didn't have any uranium metal, but we had sintered uranium or uranium powder, and these were formed into sort of like hockey pucks, which were inserted in the graphite. And he just dictated where these were to be placed and what the layers of graphite were to be built. And I don't know how many months we did this, but it wasn't until the end of November, getting toward December, when it was pretty clear something was going to happen. And then I guess it was on December the 2nd, the night before, Fermi had told Herb to close up, lock up, and he'd start the next morning. And he evidently knew how close we were to criticality. We started that morning And George Weil was down in the pit working what was called a control rod, which was a meter stick with I think it had a big slab of cadmium on top of it.
Most of the people were gathered on the balcony. Down below, George Weil was directed from the balcony by Fermi where he wanted the poison rods positioned as he slowly moved them, had them removed. So he would he would call down to George and say, pull the rod out to a foot. Then you'd wait a while to see how the neutron level built up. The level of neutrons would go up and then it would level off at some point. Okay, well now, it wasn't self-sustaining because every time we did that with more fuel, the level where it leveled off would become higher. And that went on for quite some time, and that, in fact, all morning.
And that mechanical counter kept going faster and faster and faster as they pulled out the control rod. Finally, they had to switch over to a cylindrical recorder at that time. It had soot and a needle on it, and you could see the activity going up. Fermi, I guess, was actually plotting the reciprocal, and he could tell when it crossed the abscissa, thing was going to go critical. The counting rate kept going up, and then finally, just before lunch, he said, okay, George, let's go to lunch, which sort of amazed everybody. You would have thought he would continue through lunch hour, and so Weil put the control rod all the way back in. We closed up and went over to the Commons, which is where we always ate lunch together. Came back after lunch, had George pull out the control rod to where it had been. It wasn't much longer. He pulled out a couple of more centimeters, and I was very antsy because, boy, that counter was just going, it just clogged. It wouldn't count that fast. Finally, Fermi, to most everybody's relief, I guess you'd say, said, okay, zip in. I don't know where that term ever came. And George put the control rod all the way back in, and everybody cheered. The whole gallery was filled with people. I guess it was Wegener brought out a bottle of Chianti, and everybody had a little sip. I just went back to work. I was doing some work down the hall. I had a little lab down there.
Well, first there was clapping from the balcony where Fermi was, which signified that it was going to go critical. And we were called over to shut down the pile, and we joined the whole group. And at that time, Wegener presented Fermi with that bottle of the wine. Wegener had been hiding this bottle of wine, and he presented it to Fermi. He had bought it, 3 months before, because he was so sure that Fermi would succeed. And Fermi sent somebody out for little tiny paper cups, and all of us there were given a little bit of wine, and we toasted Fermi. After we had the little toast that Fermi poured for us, that was done in silence. And nobody said anything, which I thought was a fairly remarkable thing. There was no big hullabaloo of doing something that was truly momentous, given what had taken place there and the implications of what might follow. There were two things that might follow: nuclear power for civilian purposes, or what was really the purpose at that time was a nuclear weapon. And this made it virtually certain. In any case, this was a truly momentous occasion, and it was quiet. And all I've been able to come up with, it was because everybody knew that it was momentous. And what's there to say, except we've done it, now we know we can do it, we can do what we're supposed to.
Air conditioning is a process that is used to maintain a certain temperature and humidity in an indoor environment. Air conditioning was invented by Willis Carrier in 1902. It allowed for more industries to manufacture a wider variety of items since working conditions improved. Major industries impacted by this included the entertainment industry and food industries. Air conditioning also revolutionized transportation and healthcare. For example, airplanes and trains had air conditioning, making transportation much more comfortable. Hospitals were also able to install air conditioning, which was used in incubation rooms. The long-lasting effects of this includes the ability to construct larger buildings like skyscrapers and better methods of transportation and exchange. Alright, so this is our final technological advancement for topic 9.1, which is birth control. Birth control advanced a lot during this time period, and people were having less babies than their parents and grandparents. Birth control included new methods of contraception. If you don't know, contraception is the deliberate use of artificial methods or other techniques to prevent pregnancy. One of these methods was a birth control pill, which was invented by Gregory Pincus in the 1950s. In 1960, the US government approved of the pills for widespread use. As a result, fertility rates around the world dropped.